And welcome! We are here doing Cook for Victory, and my name is Maddie.
My name is Millie, and we are cooking tonight at Cookery School at Little Portland Street.
I have been a pastry chef for over 10 years, shocking I know, in Australia, and I've done my last 3 years teaching here at Cookery School.
I'm from London. I did my professional training here at Cookery School, and before that I was a private chef in Tuscany.
And our job over the past few nights has been to teach you or help you find a little bit of confidence in the kitchen, but also grow to love cooking. It is such a fun thing to do. We've done 1,000 recipes, what it feels like.
Maddie's chopped a million veggies.
I have chopped a million vegetables. We have seasoned together, we have caramelized onions together. All in all, we're trying to show you that cooking is easy, it's delicious with really simple things that you can find anywhere, nothing fancy.
Yeah, and doable in an hour. So tonight we are making a delicious frittata, showing you a couple of different styles of omelettes, and finishing off with a delicious fruit salad with some yogurt.
Yes, so you'll be shocked to know, as always, well, as almost always, we are going to be starting with onions. But before that, if you have a very, very slow oven to heat up, the frittata that we're going to cook can take 200 degrees or maybe a little bit more. Ours is really quick, so we'll pop it on like last minute, but if you've got a very slow oven like I do at home, you can pop it on now. It needs to preheat. And we're going to get our potatoes first so we can get them boiling. We've got some little baby new potatoes or salad potatoes to go in our frittata, and they look beautiful. Oh, Millie.
So compared to a couple of our other recipes, we actually want something that's quite waxy. It's going to hold together really nicely in the oven, and it'll just have this very creamy texture as opposed to fluffing and kind of disintegrating into our frittata.
Yeah, it's going to slice really nice and clean.
So just to get you into the right mindset, so frittata is a baked omelette. So we are going to start it in a frying pan, put it in the oven, and we'll be able to cut it into nice squares, whereas we're going to be doing some very quick, simple omelettes on the frying pan later on in the session. So just to get started, we're going to chop any of our really big ones into nice small pieces.
You could chop them about this size, is that right?
Ideally about this size, so it's like a
bite,
3 centimeters across or something. But we want these to cook a little bit quicker tonight just because we're going to do it in the hour. So we'll go a touch smaller, maybe half that size, just so we can get them cooked nice and fast. So anything really tough, you can go hand on top. And we're just going to go for nice small pieces so they cook nice and quickly.
Smooth as well.
You don't have to peel them, but I would recommend taking out any little eyes that you find along the way. Those are just like the little rooty, knobbly, ugly bits. Yeah, maybe I'll go in half.
Pretty good.
And of course, a frittata is a really good way to use up any leftovers. So say you're making some lovely minty Jersey Royals coming into spring season, you could do some leftover potatoes, you could do leftover cooked broccoli, courgettes.
Yep.
Your recipe says you can use some leftovers as well, so it doesn't have to be a super prescriptive recipe.
Yeah, we're doing quite a simple one tonight with just the potatoes and the onions, but it is very good at absorbing leftovers.
And this is going to get cut up once more later on. So you can make them sort of small bite-sized pieces or even a little bit bigger.
I think mine's just got one little dig.
Right, looking good.
Yes.
Just drop that a little bit down.
Yeah, I got it.
All right, so we're going to go into a pot of cold water. So always starting from cold with root veggies or anything very, very dense. And I promise this isn't dirt, they've just got little spots in them.
Eyes.
I'm not sure what it is.
I'm not sure either.
Right.
Wait, one more.
One more.
One of us.
So starting from cold water, this is going to make sure that they cook evenly all the way through. And then we're going to bring it up to the boil. Keeping the skins on also gives it a little more fibre, a little extra flavour. So up to the boil and then down to a simmer. Right. Next job is going to be our favourite, frying onions. I'll show you 2 ways to slice onions. So we're going to start by taking off the top. And then you've got a flat side. So you can either go hand on top or doing an arch, tip down, pushing straight through the centre. So this will be way number 1. And then you're going to peel this layer off. And potentially even the one underneath it if it's not looking smooth and beautiful like this one.
These are some pretty beautiful onions actually. And they're massive. Good size onion. And always...
We are missing our favourite.
Yes, Jeffrey.
You've not met him before, Jeffrey. Our communal bench scraper.
It's actually a 3-person cook along. We've got Millie, myself, and Jeffrey.
Right, so way number 1. Just in case you want lots of different ways to do things, we're going to start cutting towards the root. Gives you nice half-moon slices.
And for the frittata, we kind of want, like, it's quite nice if you have bigger slices. We don't want to be going like a very
mush
thin.
or anything.
Yeah, it's nice to have a bit of texture inside your frittata.
And then way number 2, you can chop off the roots as well. Peel your onion as normal. And then you can just do sort of north to south slices. Just gives you a slightly different texture, but both are going to cook exactly the same way. They'll both be delicious. So 2 styles of cutting onions. Now we're going to fry these, of course, in some lovely olive oil. And if you've not been here before, we're going to start with a cold pan, some delicious olive oil to start with, and a good pinch of salt.
The salt is not necessarily for flavour at this point, just to draw out all the moisture from the onions so that they can start getting that nice caramel flavour, which is what we want. This is for you.
Thank you. If you've got a flexible chopping board,
be careful.
So I'm just going to break these half moons up. And I'm now going to crank it up to max heat, so as hot as your pan can go. So on this it's 14. And then, as I was saying, 1 big pinch of salt. So not for seasoning, but just to draw out water, help them caramelize a little bit quicker. And then I've got a jug of water on hand as like my emergency stop in case these start to get a little too brown once the sugars pull out and they begin to break down. That will stop it from burning. So we don't like burnt onions, but we do like very caramelized onions. So we're starting here, and we'll go all the way up to about here once they are looking lovely and fried. So I'm going to leave them be.
Patience.
I'm not going to touch them until they begin to fry and caramelize. And then we'll just have a little cry.
And we'll have a little cry. For our frittata tonight, we've got some nice fresh parsley, we've got some dried oregano. But again, this is one of those things that you can put in anything that you really want to. Lovely fresh herbs. Keeping on the lighter side, because they will cook in the eggs. You don't want anything too hearty. I always do stray away from rosemary, but rosemary's pretty fierce in something like this. But
like
oregano,
thyme would be lovely.
Fresh oregano, thyme.
To be honest, any herbs you have lying around would be a really good way to use them up. There's a lovely Persian version of this, which uses just a big variety of fresh herbs called Cookery, so that's another way that you can take this. But we're going to finely slice this. So I've got my hand in the claw,
and I've
with my nails tucked under.
Everything in as tightly as possible.
So I'm creeping my hands back as my knife comes with me. And my onions are beginning to sizzle, so they're frying nice and quickly.
I'm going to give them just a small toss.
And I will also toss my parsley, because I've got some quite large bits and also some very, very finely chopped bits. So I just want to make sure they're all being moved around evenly.
Hand on top, back and forth, my favourite.
So I'm just going to move them to our biggest burner so they've got a chance to fry nice and fast. All right. How are you doing?
Good.
Again, my friend Jeffrey. Always there.
So we are doing the most simple version of your frittata. We've got that oregano or dried oregano that I was talking about, but you can also scale this, I think, quite well. We're going to use this amount of eggs, but you can kind of match your eggs to what you've got. Usually toss it all together if you've got some, we said old roast veggies, some other types of potatoes, lots of herbs, maybe a bit of cheese as well.
Some steamed broccoli.
So long as it's not really, really watery,
yes.
Because it's really not fun to cut into a watery frittata, it can go in. So it means you basically can use the amount of eggs that you need to cover what you've got. So you can get a big dish, fill it with some lovely stuff and cover it with eggs as well.
So just a little splash of water to deglaze all of that lovely brown stuff on the bottom. That's just really good flavour that I don't want to stick and burn. And then I'll let it settle once more and it can continue to boil off, evaporate, and then it's going to caramelize once more.
Lovely.
All right.
And I'm going to do the right thing and go one egg at a time. So because it is...
steal this for a second?
Because your eggs are good, they're all vaccinated against salmonella in England, but you never know what could happen. So we try and go one egg at a time, because it means if you crack a bad egg right at the last minute, and you crack it onto all 9 or 10 or 12 of your eggs, depending on how many people you're feeding with your frittata, you're only ever going to have one bad egg. So if you do them one at a time, it's a really good way to make sure that they're all going to be good, even if there's one in there that's not that great.
That sounds like a really ridiculous thing until it happens to you.
Yes.
I once cracked 30 eggs, and the last one was bad, and I ruined the whole bowl. It was awful.
It's good practice.
If you're ever unsure if your eggs are fresh, you can put them in a bowl of water. If they float, they are likely to be bad. If they sink, they're good. It's a pretty good rule of thumb to keep on hand. Although, I have to say that one time the egg was bad, I did actually test it.
And it was?
And it sunk.
Yeah, there you go.
So that was
not
on a
the
farm.
magic, yeah, not the best ever test.
And the other thing you'll notice when eggs are really fresh, if you crack them onto a bowl or a plate, they'll have like a very, very firm white, and it shouldn't be watery at all. So I'm going to start to beat these. The ones that float, so eggshells are porous, so as eggs age, they will absorb oxygen, and that's why they begin to float, is because they've absorbed so much oxygen they become buoyant. I'm going to start to give this a really good beat. Did you mention ovens, Maddie?
Right at the start.
Right at the start. So we've just popped our ovens on. They're quite quick to heat up, so I don't want them to go on hours in advance, but just before we need them, so we're not wasting excess electricity. So eggs are a wonderful source of protein. They're pretty cheap as far as animal protein comes. So they're a very, very good way to feed a family. As you'll see later on, we're going to make lots and lots of omelettes, which is a nice way to just, even quicker than a frittata, just whip up a quick meal. Serve with a nice salad, good bit of bread, and that is dinner ready. Or you can make a frittata, they keep really well in the fridge. I'd say omelettes are best eaten fresh and hot.
Oh yeah.
But a frittata is really nice room temp. Or even
good the next day,
really
tasty the next day. I'm just coming to have a quick look at our onions because I can hear there's a little bit of brown down the bottom.
You can hear the brown.
Yeah, I can hear the brown. That kind of colour is what we're looking for all over. So I am going to put them back on that big burner so they can take that extra heat, but give them a little toss. If you find like your onions are running away from you, they're getting darker quicker than you can kind of scratch that brown off the bottom, just put a bit of water in there. It will help to release the dark colour from the base and then push it through the rest of your onions. But these can take a little bit more on a nice high heat.
So for anyone who missed our scrambled and fried egg episode, I talked a lot about seasoning eggs because I think eggs are one of the most delicious things you can eat and one of the quickest and simplest in terms of a good meal.
And they can be really delicious as well.
But
they don't have to be super bland and boring. They
have to be well seasoned. So in terms of seasoning, you could do like 1 2-finger pinch, a 2-finger like big pinch, or a 3 or even 4-finger giant pinch.
Chef pinch.
For eggs, just like a general rule of thumb is 1 small pinch per egg. We've got 8 eggs in the bowl, so we're going to do at least 8 small pinches of salt, plus a little more for everything else that's going on. So I'll use this. Got
like our potatoes, which are unseasoned. Our onions have a little bit of salt.
So let's say at least 1 pinch for our onions that have a little bit of salt, and maybe
2 pinches for our potatoes. I like this counting salt method. I think it's a good start.
And this should get us very, very close because you don't really want to be trying raw eggs ideally. So we are just going to be using that general rule of thumb for this. Give it a good whisk, and this is also going to start breaking down those proteins and make it very soft and runny and easy to mix in later on. Ooh. So you're going to get a big mess of salt everywhere.
So we've got, for our eggs, we've got a lovely little square tin. So this is enough for, so we've got 8, 9 or 10 eggs. It is eggs, so that it will kind of rise up and then sink back down a little bit. So don't, if you are at home and you're choosing a variety of dish of your size, you're doing 30 eggs or something.
Touch bigger.
Yeah, and don't fill it right to the top. You kind of want it to be at least a good centimetre or 2 down.
So we've lined this by just cutting a little bit of baking paper, and I've added lots and lots of oil. You can use olive oil or rapeseed oil to the bottom. So you see it's a little bit greasy, and I stuck in a piece of paper.
Stick your paper as well. Eggs are notoriously quite sticky, but they're
And
also runny and quite heavy. So even if they don't stick to the base, they're hard to lift out just because they're so heavy. So a little bit of oil.
So this is a perfect moment to go, oh my God, I burnt my onions. But no, what you've really done is caramelize the bottom.
Yes.
And all of this is about to dissolve, lift up. The water will turn brown.
And then you do a good
And then I'll scrape it all off. And the only place that brown water can go is back onto my onions, so they'll suddenly look very caramelized. And I'll put it back on the heat.
To forget about it once more.
To forget about it once more. And that is really the quickest way to caramelize onions quite fast, is just to leave them alone, let them do their thing. They must have really good contact with the surface of the pan, otherwise they won't brown. So ideally using something like stainless steel, cast iron, something that's not non-stick, because you want it to stick, and that's how it's going to get a nice crust. So that's our well-beaten eggs. Just from sitting with that little bit of salt, they become nice and thin. And that's also partly why you want to have a well stuck down piece of parchment, so the eggs don't just shoot straight under what you're lining with.
Otherwise they're just soggy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to go in with our parsley now, just to get it going. We've got lots, and eggs love herbs. So if your eggs are just green all the way through, the more the better. It just makes it more fresh, more delicious. This is a lot of oregano.
Yeah, 2 teaspoons.
Yeah, let's go. All of it in. So we're using dried oregano tonight. You can use fresh oregano, dried oregano. There's plenty of lovely herbs out there to be used. Chives would be lovely.
At this point, I have taken out the whisk, but that's only because I don't want it to get totally trapped full of herbs. So we can switch to a spoon at this point. These are very, very well beaten. Now we just want to check that our potatoes are on their way. They do take a little while to cook, so we're going to slide a knife in, and if they drop off almost instantly and they go in like butter, they're done. What do you think?
Excellent. So for me,
I mean, they'll cook a little more
I
in
was
the
going
oven.
to say, knowing that they're going to take a bit more cooking in the oven, I'm pretty happy with that.
Brilliant.
So that's fantastic. If you were using these straight away, say in, I don't know, a salad or as potatoes to eat, they could take a little bit longer. But to go into the frittata, we know it's going to bake in the oven. They will definitely finish it off.
Excellent.
And
I will drain these and let them cool down a touch.
I think the onions could use a little love.
Ooh, steamy, steamy.
So talk about scraping the colour off the bottom of your pot.
You ready for me?
That lovely dark caramel there is what we want in our onions. So Millie's going to do a nice dash of water, and I'm going to do my hardest to scrape it all off, knowing the colour will come into my onions. How did you drain your potatoes, Mill?
I just popped them in a colander and just poured the water down the sink. Just be careful with steam, because it's one of the easiest ways to burn yourself. It's kind of quite a sneaky one.
It is a sneaky one because
Doesn't look hot, but it is.
Steam is hotter than 100 degrees.
Is it?
Well, water boils at 100, and so steam is above that. So
Quick
it's
science
hot.
lesson.
It's a very good, easy way to burn yourself, and people don't underestimate your kettle.
And speaking of dangerous things, you can cook this frittata in the same frying pan that you use to cook your onions if you are using something that looks, let me find it.
If you've got something like a skillet that you can put in your oven.
So sometimes we'll use these, so we'll fry our onions in this, and then we'll pour in our egg mix, cook it a little bit more on the frying pan, and then pop this whole pan in the oven, because this is oven safe. However, I'd say try and avoid doing that. These are firstly much easier to portion, but I've grabbed a hot pan handle out of the oven many times, so it's just a very easy thing where your brain thinks it's cold, but it's actually ripping hot, and it's just quite an easy, quick way to burn yourself.
Yeah.
So try to avoid putting things that kind of look oven safe in the oven, even though they can go in. My brain doesn't think that.
So I think our onions aren't too far off, but they'll maybe we'll give them a couple more minutes.
And oven safe just means anything that can withstand that high heat. So you may have a plastic handle, for example, that's going to melt when it goes in the oven. You might have any coatings that aren't technically oven safe.
So say for example
Rivets or something.
these pots, even though they can take a lot of heat, they aren't really oven safe because the handles aren't made of the same material. They usually say whether they're oven safe or not on
check
the
the
box.
bottom of
You can
your-
check the bottom. But if you're unsure, don't put it in your oven. I don't think it's worth the risk. You can use something like this. There's lots of glass dishes out there, Pyrex and everything like that.
This
That
is
can
just
go in your
a
oven.
brownie tin. That's pretty good. But just something that's a slightly deep roasting pan is perfect. And even if it's non-stick, I would recommend lining the bottom. And these are, as I was saying, really good because you can just portion them into, this one will make about 16 small squares or 9 giant slices.
Or if you got hungry kids.
Yeah, pie tin or something is also good.
If you're using your, I've just added a dash to onions to attempt to speed them up a little bit. And it's not too bad. In terms of colour, I can see there's one like big bit that's really, really undercooked. It's quite pale. But the rest of them have got a nice kind of caramel colour or getting there at least.
Their way.
Yeah.
So again, ideally never putting plastic in the oven. So we've just got a metal tin, or you can use glass is also good. And we've just lined ours so it comes out pretty easily.
2 minutes.
But to be honest, if you left this to cool down, they would sort of sweat a little bit and then it should come out.
Should technically, theoretically.
So if you haven't already, very good time to line your tin. Even if it is a little bit non-stick, it just means you can flip it out much, much more easily. Get your oven on.
They're almost done. They just need like 1 minute.
And if you want a really frothy omelette, you can beat this quite a lot more and it will puff up a little bit more in the oven. But if you want something a little more dense, just minimal beating until you've broken up those streaks of egg whites.
This is it, the last one.
The last melon.
The last melon.
Yeah, good way to use up any leftover herbs you have, especially those ones that are looking a little bit sad in the back of the fridge. Something like dill would be delicious.
We talk about caramelizing onions all the time because it's delicious. And I think I said this maybe once before, but there is something to do it en masse because it kind of, no matter how many onions you're doing, it always seems to take around about the same amount of time. So if you've got a lot of onions, chuck them all in because they take about the same amount of time to caramelize, whether there's 2, 3 or 4. And more onions in this is also quite lovely. So if you love the sweet version of these onions, do plenty. They go so far, we use them for so many things. So we're going to chuck everything in. These onions are beautiful and ready. They can always take more if you ask me, but we're going to pop this in the oven and get it cooking so we can get it out in the hour.
Toss those potatoes in, they might soak up some of that onion.
Yeah.
So we let them drain really well as well. And as Maddie was saying, you want the driest fillings possible.
So I'm going to toss them, get that lovely brown colour onto my potatoes as well. And now it's quite quiet in the kitchen now that our onions are finished. And that made those potatoes just a little bit oily as well, which is always nice. And so I'm going to very, very gently.
Do you want a spatula?
Go in.
I'll break.
You ready?
I got you.
You got it. You're going to catch them. There we go.
So we're going to tip them in and mix it all together fairly quickly. We don't want them to scramble before they go in the oven.
And look at that. Pretty clean pot. All that brown is in with our onions. Yes, please. Get all the good flavours in.
So I'm going to give it a quick mix. As well, you can start this all from cold with leftovers, but if it's hot, it's going to cook a lot quicker going into the oven. So it's quite a nice thing to do.
Can be a bit of a cheat. I'm just dropping stuff, I'm sorry.
All right, so we're going to pop this into our lined heat-proof tin. Looking good. And you need at least a centimetre or so of room at the top so it can
perfect
puff
amount
up.
of filling.
So I'm just going to spread it out. So we've got equal parts of potato. Ooh, little spillage. We've got potato all over your tin. Otherwise, you might just end up with a very potato-heavy area and a very egg-heavy area. And then I'm just going to lightly pat everything down, and it's going to go into a nice hot oven. 200 to 230 is good, and you can always turn it down if it's not quite cooked in the centre. Right. Could you open that for me?
I can.
So nice and hot in the center of the oven. And now we're going to do a quick clean down, give our hands a good wash because we've been touching raw eggs. And we'll show you how to make a lovely
fruit salad. In terms of timing and everything that goes in, do you think you could do it at home? If you've got eggs about, you've got some old stuff in your fridge that needs using up, you've got some vegetables, some herbs, maybe some old cheese that you want to see have better days. It was pretty simple. I mean, a lot of flavour is going to come from your caramelised onion, and everything else is just a bonus on top of that. It doesn't have to have anything in particular. It can have anything that you want inside, so long as it's not too watery, so you don't get soup on the bottom of your tin. It's going to be delicious. And good amount of salt. Never forget the salt. And so we've got a fruit salad tonight that's very, I think, British summer inspired. So we have a pear. I know it looks a bit soft, but it is actually still very firm, and I ate one today and it's actually very delicious and sweet. We've got a couple of oranges. We're going to use one for juicing, and so the acid from the orange, the juice, will keep everything nice and fresh. We've got one to chop up and put in the salad itself. We've got a lovely apple. Much to my sadness, we're going to put a banana in. I like very, very mushy bananas, so that's it should be black if you ask me, but that's my only personal preference. It's a personal preference thing. And we have some beautiful British strawberries that look just absolutely amazing. And again, we've got some beautiful British blueberries as well. So all of this we're going to cut up into small-ish chunks, not tiny, because they'll start to lose all their water. Maybe we're aiming for all about the same, so just over a centimetre, something like that.
A bit bigger.
Yeah, a bit bigger than a blueberry. And all should be, ideally when you have a spoon, you've got kind of a little bit of everything. You don't just have like half an orange in one spoon. You know, that's the idea of the fruit salad.
Or like sort of, very tiny.
Or,
tiny
and no cat food either.
Yeah.
It's a fine line.
All right, talk me through this. What do you want me to do oranges?
Yes, that's both. You want to juice an orange, and then I'll slice up the orange.
So again, we've got these nice serrated knives, but you can just use a small knife. You don't need to have a massive one for this job. And if you're cutting anything that's sort of curved and not a flat surface, just go with your fingers between or hand on top if that's easier for you. So I'm going to juice this. Vanny's going to start to peel hers.
And I'm going to top and tail mine. So I'm going to cut down one side and then cut down the other. And what that will do is just give me like two nice flat surfaces, and then easily chop off the skin and the pith. So you really want all the flesh. So for example, you don't want to go like this and eat this white stuff. It's just not very nice to eat, particularly in a fruit salad. Everything should be nice and tender. And I am tucking the knife underneath. So instead of going straight down, it is a little like curved surface underneath there. And these I'm just going to cut into nice little cubes. These are pretty good on the seed front, which is nice. I don't think it's worth de-seeding an orange. I think you can let whoever's eating it do that themselves.
And all of these fruits have seasons. So ideally you're using things when they're at their freshest and their best. They'll taste the best, but they should also be the cheapest and the most delicious. So
yeah. And they're at their best. When they're in season, they're always going to be at their best.
British strawberries in the middle of winter, not worth eating, not worth.
So because we're going everything into kind of cube shapes, if you've got your orange like this, and we did say we're aiming for about a centimetre or so, I'm going to kind of cut little, I guess what we've been doing a lot actually, little buttons or plaits, something like this, and then go nice cubes from there. They can be good size, something, I don't know, something like that. I think that's a nice bite size of orange. And that can go in our beautiful bowl, which I have here, as a good start. If you see any seeds about,
Kick them
obviously you can take them out. But I wouldn't do it.
So orange is going in as well as juice of an orange.
Juice
so that's
of an
going to stop
orange.
everything from oxidizing and kind of create a nice...
Yeah, so we've started with the orange just because it will help everything from stop taking colour. If you do your apples and your bananas, say straight away, they'll just go brown as you're chopping everything else. So get your orange done first, and we'll toss that orange juice through as we're going and chopping the rest of ours. So both our apple and our pear, we're going to do kind of the exact same thing. We're going to cut around the core. Keep the skin on, it's good. It's going to be crunchy anyway, so you're not going to notice. You're going to cut around the core, and again aiming for the same size, about a centimetre.
So just not through the middle, just slightly offset,
Yeah.
imagining where it is. Oh, you're going to cut in a straight line.
Thinking about where the core is, which is right down the centre line. I've got myself a flat surface. And so you should have kind of 4 pieces that look something like this. And then these are all going to go into your cubes.
A plank, because I've got quite a thick chunk of apple here.
You love the plank.
I love the plank. And then into my little matchsticks. They're not very matchsticky today. And then nice big pieces of apple.
Beautiful.
With the skin on.
With the skin on. Good crunch, good flavour, and good for you. Just full of nutrients.
Things like apples and pears, traditionally they're a little bit more in the autumnal side of things. Berries, things like strawberries and blueberries, better enjoyed in summer. But yeah, just try and get things when they are at their freshest and their best, and they'll always taste the most delicious.
And I can vouch for the pears.
Delicious?
delicious. I ate one today. And again, just to stop them from taking that colour, I'm just going to give these a little bit. It really doesn't take long. Like 10 seconds out in the air, they're brown. And then nobody wants to eat them. The fruit, when we say the fruit's going to go brown, that's just it. It's called oxidizing. It's just when the air is basically ripening it, but because it's been opened, it's making it brown. And so even though it doesn't change the taste too much, I think it does taste, it changes what people want to eat. You know, a bowl of bright fresh fruit is very different to a bowl of brown fruit, I think.
Yeah.
So,
and actually even today with our potatoes, they would also oxidize if I had just cut them or peeled them and left them out at room temp. So if you are ever prepping things like potatoes and stuff, it's good to just pop them straight into cold water. That stops oxidation as well. But in this situation, a little bit of acidity and that water also does the same job.
The acid is the counteractive.
Yeah, so if you ever see people with like a bowl of sliced apples and they squeeze a bit of lemon on, that's why they're doing it, is to reduce the oxidation.
You can cut your banana up, but it does usually have, if you can,
three nodes.
Three little nodes inside. If you gain, you can kind of stick your finger in and it should kind of naturally break into three anyway. And they make nice little bite-sized pieces. So I cut my banana quite thick, knowing that I was going to break each of them into three. And again, we're giving them a toss in that acid.
I swear I just saw a seed. Where'd it go? Be hunting for it.
You can give the seed to me.
Oh, yeah,
I'll eat it.
There you go.
All right, we've got apples, pears, oranges, and banana. And next, the bright berries. These look absolutely beautiful. Here you go, you can cut all of those.
All right. So we're going to start by taking off the tops.
They aren't very tasty fresh, but they are actually full of nutrients as well. So I usually freeze them and just blend them into something fun.
These ones, I'm just going to go into quarters for any of the slightly bigger ones.
I've got a really big monster. So I did the quarter that Mill did, but then I cut that quarter in half. But yeah, all the smaller ones, I think quarter is absolutely fine. But if you've got some monster berries, they can take a little bit more. We're just aiming for the exact same size for everything. So we take one good spoon and it looks delicious.
And the best thing about a fruit salad is it's very, very colourful. The more variety you can introduce, the better for you it is. And I'm just going to keep doing a very gentle toss each time.
Eat the rainbow. I think the fruit salad is the best way to do it.
If you've got veggie bolognese and a
veggie bolognese and a fruit salad,
you've pretty knocked out like 20 things at once.
These strawberries look really good.
They smell amazing.
A good sign of a very what will be a very tasty strawberry is if a strawberry hasn't had enough water, it will be white inside and it's just going to taste. Yeah, you can see that one's a little bit paler. So if it's pink or red all the way through, it's going to be the most delicious strawberry. So the paler it is inside, usually the less flavour it has and the less sweet it's going to be. It just hasn't had enough water and not enough sun. All right. These look lovely. And we're going to serve this tonight just with some lovely full-fat Greek yogurt, our favourite here. No sweeteners, no sugars, no nothing. All these fruits have, they're in the prime, they're prime, so they're all really sweet already, particularly the strawberries. They're going to be absolutely gorgeous. And the oranges as well are super, super sweet.
Have you ever seen blueberries being picked? It's like they use like a rake
it's like a...
scrape them off the bush.
Yeah, a hand rake.
It's quite funny.
In terms of your blueberries, have a pick through them. They should be ideally all looking lovely, but sometimes there is a twig or two. Most of these are really nice, but if you've got that little bit, think about what you want to eat at home. I would not like to eat this twig, so I'm going to take it off. But most of the time, they are really, really good when you get them, and some of these are massive. They look so lovely.
I think these are from Scandinavia, actually, most of the time.
Good.
They're sort of cold weather berries.
Okay, the rest of them look pretty good. Every now and again you get a soft one, but to be honest, the soft it just means sweet, so I would chuck that in as well, so long as it doesn't look a little firm.
And that is our fruit salad done. So if you've got a friend, 5 minutes of work and suddenly you've got like a lovely fresh salad to go with your dinner. So we're going to pop these aside. I will show you what our frittata is looking like currently, knowing it's not going to be cooked, but just so you can see it and how you know when it is raw as well, because we don't want to be eating raw eggs. And that is almost all our prep. I'll put these to the side because the last thing we had to do is chop some chives for our omelettes. We'll talk you through a couple of delicious omelette fillings as well. Behind you.
I'm coming in.
I'm coming in.
I think frittatas are very good at lying to you.
Yes, they are.
Because this is actually a great stage to take it out, because if you look at it, it looks golden. So you're thinking, oh, maybe it's cooked. I think it's cooked.
And then, actually, can I steal your thing? If I shake it, actually, it's quite firm. But when I dig in with a spoon, there's still, actually, let me tilt this so you can see.
That's a potato, I think.
There's still a little bit of runny egg here, or quite a lot of runny egg even, but it actually feels quite firm. It is definitely not cooked yet, so I'm going to give it another couple of minutes, but I can just see the custard in the center is not fully cooked.
Yeah, and if you were to stick a knife in, I've got a potato.
It's looking very wet.
You can see,
you
just here, you can see uncooked egg there. So frittatas are very good at lying to you in terms of how cooked they are. They always take a really nice golden color on top, but they're still quite liquid on the insides. So this definitely needs at least another 10 minutes, I'll say, to finish off that egg. But it is nice if you can catch it like just as it's cooked. It's just going to retain a bit of moisture so it's not drying out or anything like that. But that one needs a good 5 to 10 minutes at least.
Yeah, definitely. Ideally, just like, especially if you're planning on letting it cool, just to slice this bit jiggly in the center. It's beautiful. Because this will continue cooking as it comes out the oven.
We're going back to our savoury side of the board.
I will set a mental timer for 5 minutes.
A mental timer, okay. We're going to catch
chives.
it. So now we have our frittata in the oven. We've got our fruit salad that's sitting in the acid, so it's not going to go brown. It's just going to get
marinating, soaking it all up.
And now we're going to do a little bit of quick prep for our omelettes. We're going to go do omelettes with chives, omelettes with cheddar. We're going to do one quick, one slow, and then we have a special, we're going to do an egg white omelette as well, and we're going to use our favourite sponsor, Two Chicks. We've got their pasteurised eggs that you can buy, pretty readily available actually, but they also
all the big English supermarkets sell them these days, lovely organic and free-range egg whites.
And so they're pasteurised, which means technically, because they've been taken to a safe eating temperature, you can eat them raw. They're not very appetising when you pull them out of the carton, but you are able to eat them raw. They've been taken to a safe temperature for eating.
Yeah, you can make cocktails with them.
You can make cocktails with them,
Whiskey
absolutely.
Or, as we're going to show you later on, we're going to make a delicious soufflé omelettes, which is just like a nice way to use them.
Absolutely gorgeous.
So, with just about any omelette, they are basically just a vessel to make something delicious out of. So we're going to do chives, but you could do...
Other herbs?
Other herbs. So you can do thyme and parsley is quite lovely, or you can do a mixture of thyme, parsley, chives is like a lovely French style omelette. You can use cheddar, so any of those harder cheeses which aren't super watery are great. So just like our frittata, you don't want any wet fillings, like ideally not like a raw tomato that's quite watery.
You can either use like some sort of cooked tomato,
sun-dried tomato,
or whatever you are putting in should be cooked, because you don't want a watery omelette. It's not very nice at all.
You could do a little bit of ham or some...
I will say the onions that we did, those caramelized onions would be very, very nice in an omelette. But yeah, something that it's not watery, it's not going to lose water while it's cooking in your omelette and make... I think the worst thing slicing into an omelette and just have like a deluge of water coming onto your plate is not very nice.
Fried mushrooms, also delicious. So it's a good way to sneak in extra veggies, a little bit of extra protein as well. So yeah, we'd say, what's your favourite omelette filling? I used to love cheese.
Cheese and herbs. Cheese and herbs.
Cheese and herbs is always a good one.
Keep it simple. It's always delicious. It's never going to let you down.
And I'm a bit of a chive fan. I do like them very, very finely chopped though. So I'm taking my time doing this. I've got my fingers in this claw. So everything is tucked right the way back. My nails are basically touching the chopping board, and I'm keeping it in a tight bundle so they don't run away from me, and I'm barely moving my knife as I go. So you end up with these very, very paper thin pieces of chive. But that is just me being weird.
And I'm doing my best to replicate that.
Using a really sharp knife helps with this as well, because you're actually going all the way down to the bottom of the board. If your knife is a little on the dull side, you'll really notice when you chop things like spring onions, chives, tomatoes, because they have often like a slightly papery or tough outer layer, which is hard for your knife to get through if it's not very, very sharp.
And chippity choppity, yeah. And just like that, the prep for our omelettes is done.
Yeah, so we've
very
just got
taxing.
some really nice mature cheddar because the flavour is really good. It's quite dry. What else would be delicious? Some goat's cheese or something?
No.
I know.
Herbs and cheese. Cheese and herbs.
I know
It's
Ross
all-
hates goat's cheese.
All right. And for this very quick meal, that is your preparation. The only thing left is the eggs in the fry pan. So I think it's if you're running late for time, I think we've said this a lot, eggs are a great quick meal. They cook so quickly if you want them to, but they're also so delicious if you take your time. So Emil's going to show you 2 options.
But I'm also going to say is I think omelettes don't really wait for anyone. You need to eat
Yes.
them when they're fresh and when they're hot and delicious. They will also continue cooking. So we'll just take them to the tiniest bit underdone in the centre, knowing that they will continue to cook slightly on the plate. The other thing is frittata will keep really well for the next day, for a couple of days in the fridge even, and delicious to eat cool. So we'll show you one that should be eaten hot and one that you can have kind of pull out anytime you want it. So I'm just going to clean everything away and we'll show you omelettes.
We've got...
Do you want to do egg white omelettes first, even? Or should we do...
No, I need some time to...
Okay, okay. So I'm just grabbing like a nice ceramic coated pan. Anything that is sort of non-stick is great because they will probably stick quite heavily if you don't have one that's non-stick. Eggs are just quite sticky by nature, as Maddie was saying. So you first you're going to use a good bit of fat to coat your pan. So I'm going to get my pan just started on a low heat, medium low, just so it can begin to slowly warm up. And we're going to beat some eggs, season them, just kind of set ourselves up really nicely so we're not running around trying to find things. And actually, I might check our frittata because I think that's
It should be... That was a mental,
was our mental 5
minute. Yeah.
Oh, it's looking even more golden brown on top. Perfect.
We love it.
Often I find when it starts to release some of the oil on the top as well, it's often very, very close.
Very close.
So if we grab a knife and a spoon, we can do our 2 tests.
Other knives are here.
Oh.
I have a knife. I'm going to pick a not potato.
Maybe
So I've stuck it in.
lies.
There's just the
Is that oil?
tiniest bit. But yeah, the other side is clean. And I'm going to go one more in the nice centre bit.
You know, I think we're good.
Oh no, mine's come out clean. I think
When
that
I
was
look
the
at
old
it,
egg.
It is actually just olive oil, it's not eggs.
Yes, it's not oil. Okay, beautiful. So it's come out clean. Also, it feels firm all the way
Yes.
through. That's another good sign.
And
We've
knowing
stabbed
that
a
this
million
is
times.
very, very hot and it's going to be sitting, it will continue to firm up and cook as we go.
So a nice clean knife. That's just the oil from the onions and
it's
potatoes.
hot to
It's
touch
hot
as
to
well.
touch. So believe it or not, it still needs to kind of settle. It's going to be quite hot. So we're going to set this one aside before we chop into it. If you chop into it now, firstly, not only will it be very, very, very hot, it will still, it won't have it won't have much structure. It'll be quite hard to cut. So let it sit even just like 5
like
minutes.
a good lasagna.
Yeah, even 5
And I
minutes.
can
is
actually see
plenty.
it's beginning to pull away from the sides of the tin as well. So there's loads of signs here that this is ready to go. So I'm going to pop this to the side and we'll show you omelette.
Beautiful. So same deal as before, even though yes I know it's less eggs, we are still going to go one by one, just for safety. I even have my egg bowl from before.
Okay.
You don't have to crack your eggs the way that I do.
I
That's
kind of
just-
like the way you do it. I thought it was really weird the first time I've been converted.
Supposedly there's one always cold egg that will shatter first. That's just what I was taught. All right, we're doing 3 egg omelettes.
That's a big portion. If you want something a little lighter, go for 2. That's like a nice breakfast. But if
Yeah.
you're really hungry, 3 or even 4.
I was going to say,
if you're starving.
I've got many brothers that would be eating a 6 egg omelette, so it's
That's wild.
dealer's choice.
Okay, I'm going to give my hands a quick wash because we've just been touching raw eggs again. And then we'll talk about seasoning.
I'm just going to give them, you can use a fork or a whisk, up to you. I think forks are everywhere, so no need to dirty a whisk because you're probably going to eat it with the fork as well. So give it a good whisk, but I'm trying really hard not to put, you can have some salt. No, I've got egg on my hands, so you can get your own salt.
So seasoning hopefully with a really dry palm, otherwise it's going to stick quite badly. So we've got a 3 egg omelette, unsalted butter, so it's definitely going to be 3 small pinches. Good place to start. 1 for luck,
One for good luck, one for the pot.
because most of it's sticking to my hand as well.
It's like tea.
So we are both seasoned. Of course, if you like a little bit of pepper, you can add some pepper to this.
And yeah, when you're whisking, we are trying to break up the egg, obviously, and trying to get our yolks and whites all the same consistency. But the other thing we're doing is not putting a ton of air into it if we can help it.
So it's not a sort of big lift like you'll see Maddie doing shortly.
Whereas the next one that we do, I will try and get as much air as possible.
But it's a low whisk, just trying to break things up. And that extra bit of salt at this point will help to break things down, to soften them. Some people will say, oh, you must season at the end, but this way it actually really helps with whipping them and making them broken down, because otherwise you're going to end up with big streaks of egg white, which will cook in your omelette, and it won't be quite as nice in my opinion. So you're going to weigh out some butter, maybe some olive oil if you're dairy free. It's about 10 grams per egg, so we've got roughly 30 grams of butter. I'm going to show you the low and slow way first, and while that's kind of doing its thing, I'll show you the slightly hotter way. So we're going to do basically a very, very simple French style omelette, which will stay hopefully quite pale, and then I'll show you a sort of slightly quicker one, which is going to have a little bit of colour on it and be more of a brown crispy egg.
Crispy butter.
Right. I like them really, really well beaten. I can't stand streaks of egg white in my omelette. And that's us done. Maddie's is looking good as well. And just like bare little bits of bubbles on top, but it's not fluffy.
Okay. And very importantly, while Millie shows you 2 types of omelettes, I'm going to be whisking for the next 4 to 5 minutes. I've got some egg whites from 2 Chicks, straight from the carton. If you're thinking about how much to use for this one, it does grow. I've gone for the equivalent of like a 3-egg omelette. So I've gone for about 125 ml, but again, it is dealer's choice. I'm whipping air into it, so it's going to be a bit more voluminous than the 3 eggs. But these ones, before they go in the pan, they need to be not liquid at all. They don't have to be like a full peak firm meringue, but they do need to be not liquid at all. So I'm going to be whisking for a long time, just getting the air into these beautiful, beautiful pasteurized egg whites, sorry, from 2 Chicks. Thanks, 2 Chicks.
The other thing is for the souffle omelette, if you would like to partake, of course you can separate your eggs and do it, but this is mess-free, firstly, which is great, and it also doesn't mean you've got 2 random yolks hanging around, even better. So for this one, we're also going to use a saucepan with a lid that fits on top. But that is also something I may use for mine, which is why I'm just going to have it around in case I need it.
So I'll be here with a whisk while Millie partakes in her omelettes. Just any noise that you hear on the side is just me having a good old time.
All right, so for our omelettes, I've got some chives. Maybe I'll keep that for my very fancy French one. And then I've got a little bit of nice matured cheddar. So that's going to be our 2 different ones. So I'll maybe stick to the French one here that I'll start off a little bit slower. So I've got it on a medium-low heat. I've got my butter, and the next thing I need is a spatula, because we're going to be stirring this around to create very small curds of tiny pieces of egg, a little bit like our scrambled egg episode if you watched that. And then we'll let it set, and then I'm going to attempt to fold it very beautifully and neatly.
Attempt to fold it very beautifully and neatly.
You had it here. That's the goal.
You've got 2 goes, so one of them is going to be beautiful.
Very soft butter.
At least.
So going in, it's foamy a little bit. This is definitely going to be a rich, buttery omelette, no doubt about it.
The best type.
So I want it to foam gently. Let's pop this aside for now, actually. I've got my spatula ready. I don't want this to be too hot, because as I was saying, this is going to be like a nice pale French style omelette. And if it's sizzling hot, you're going to build up colour, which is not a bad thing, it's just a very different style. So this is looking hot and bubbly and sizzly, but not any colour in the butter. And when I go in to my frying pan, although you can't hear it because Maddie's beating so furiously, there was no sizzle. So this is just a very calm, gentle cooked omelette. So I'm going to start to stir. Bring all of this egg into the center. So just like scrambled eggs. So if you missed the episode, here is a crib sheets version. So the smaller these pieces of egg are, the silkier the texture is going to be, and the more sort of custardy the texture will be. So I'm sort of constantly moving it around the pan. Once I've got it about 60% of the way cooked, I'm going to let it settle in the bottom, and that's going to form the basis of our omelette. Oh, nearly there. So I'm sort of shaking, stirring, moving everything around all the time so it doesn't ever have a chance to settle. I'm actually going to turn the heat down. Okay, I changed mind. Maybe more like 70 or 80% of the way cooked. So it's looking like scrambled eggs. Now I'm going to let it settle into the bottom because I want that really custardy, smooth center.
How come you don't just pour it in and let it sit?
You'll get a very hard, rubbery omelette, to be honest. This makes it a little bit softer and more smooth and silky.
Learn something new every day.
Indeed. Right, so I'm going to let it set. I'm going to scrape down all the edges. So when I do the slightly trickier bit of folding it up, it's going to hopefully all set together. Right, so this is Mr. Slow. And I know we added a lot of butter, but I will steal a tiny bit more.
What I didn't think about was, as soon as you stop whisking egg whites, they start to lose their air bubbles. So I actually just have to whisk
keep on going forever and ever. So I'm just going to add a little bit more butter down the edges just to help it come out in the end, even though we're using a non-stick pan. And a little bit of butter never hurts. Okay, so this should be setting. Once it starts to lose its shine on the top and it will go a little bit duller, you're definitely ready to begin to, yes, we're getting there, to start folding. So I'm going to go all the way under, fold over the top. Oh, and I'm doing a chive omelette, as I said. So you can also, firstly, you can do a plain omelette. They will be delicious, especially if you're using delicious egg whites like the 2 chicks ones. So I'm going to squeeze some chives in the center and a little chive on top.
That looks so beautiful.
And now I'm going to move quite quick.
Ooh.
And this is where having a really, really good quality pan that's not, oh, I'm losing some.
You got it, you got it.
Helps. So I'm just going to go under, try and release it all, get over to the top. And now, I'm just going to...
Beautiful. I stopped just to watch how lovely that was.
So something I like to do is just a tiny bit of butter on top, makes it really glossy. That's just me.
Very fancy.
Me being a little fussy. And then a little bit of chive on top, also beautiful. So that is the first kind of omelette. It should be, should I break into it?
No, I was going to say, can we do the next 2 omelettes at the same time?
Sure. So
I don't think I can whisk it.
Poor Maddie is
There's only so much whisking I've got in me.
So I'm just going to fish out all of this last bit of egg whites. Or egg. Okay, quick omelette time. I'm going to get this on a little higher heat, as I am with Maddie's. I'm so sorry, my friend. Are you feeling a little hot and sweaty yet?
I'm just earning my muscles, earning my dinner.
Strong lady. Right. Butter goes in for my one, as will for Maddie's, because both of these are going to be high heat omelettes.
Very good. Salt?
Salt. Salt. How could I forget? Even more than our beaten eggs, if you don't do any salt in this, it will literally just taste like water.
3, 4, 5, one more.
One
for
more,
good luck.
for
the pot.
For the pot, yeah. And also we've got lots and lots of unsalted butter, so something in between. Right, when I shake this, it's foaming, which is great. I want them to get nice and hot, for the pans to heat up evenly as well. Brilliant.
Help me.
Where's my lid gone? My lid.
Ah.
So for Maddie, she's doing a more souffle style omelette. If you wanted to, you could always add the yolks back, gently fold it in. But we are going to cook this top down by trapping the heat with the lid.
Yep. This is for you.
It's for me. Thank you.
I'm going to rest.
Poor girl.
Yeah.
All right, this one is looking foamy and sizzly, which is perfect. This should make a very slight sizzle when it goes in.
Oh, beautiful.
So looking light and fluffy and gorgeous. I'm going to turn this up just a touch.
And I will say the egg white omelette is
lid.
really good with cheese. Oh, and a good amount, you know, a nice amount, a respectable amount of cheese.
Yeah,
maybe not
more.
all of
Go
this.
on, go on.
Yeah, okay, let's go more.
This is going to provide a little bit of flavour as
Yeah.
well. And I'm going to trap all that heat from the top down. And this one is going to get a little bit brown, will help with the flavour of the eggs as well. Again, I've got nice foamy butter here. Turn this one up a touch. And this one is going to be a lovely cheddar omelette. But you can do cheese and herb, as Maddie was saying, super delicious as well. Right, we are there.
And just while Millie gets her omelette in, I'm going to take out our beautiful frittata and just chop it up into
So this one,
6.
I'm going to be a little bit more intentional about dragging these curds of egg in, just so they're slightly bigger. And we're going to get our plates ready to go, because omelettes and eggs in general just kind of wait for no one.
They don't wait.
This is starting to steam, which is good, and puff up.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Look
she's
at
a
that.
jiggly.
The other nice thing about whipping your eggs before they go in is they cook so quickly because there's so much air in them. You're almost, it's really, really, really quick.
So just moving this around, sliding the egg under it. And this one will not be dry, provided that you don't overcook it. So now going to break up those last final bits. Now it's got a very, very small amount of uncooked egg, and I can start to hear it sizzle. And this is going to be a more coloured egg. It's going to be a little bit more brown and crispy. Just want to make sure everything is well spread out. And over here, our egg whites are trying to escape the pan.
Ooh.
So I'm going to give it a little shake just to help to release it, which is great. And I'm going to have a little peek underneath. So it's beginning to look golden brown, which is great. It just needs a tiny bit more cooking. As we were saying, this is pasteurized, so this is totally safe to eat on the undercooked side.
Yep.
So
If you like it
definitely
soft.
an option. Again, for this one, I'm going to turn up the heat a little bit because I'm going for a slightly more
Are
brown
you doing
style
cheese in this
omelette.
one?
Yes, why not?
Let's go. The frittata is what if it's a snack, you're going to cut it into something smaller, maybe, I don't know, this one could be 16. If it's a dinner, maybe more like 6 pieces. If you've got hungry kids, 4 pieces. It's whatever you want. If you're starving, it's 1 piece.
All right, so our fluffy omelette starting to shrink back down in volume, so I think this one is ready to go.
That looks good. If you missed my little 1-2,
Ooh, look at that.
oh, that is lovely. And it does deflate a little bit as well.
I'm going to try and fish it out.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
lovely. But it looks beautiful.
Thank you. Oh no, I'm going to leave her be.
It's
So
to be
our other
eaten
one,
now.
you can also just flip your omelettes in half. So this one's a little on the crispy brown side. I need one more plate, please. Oh, put them together.
Double omelette.
Double omelette. So you can see 2 very different styles of omelettes. And we've done tonight.
And if you did miss my little flippy trick with the frittata, plate on top, flip it out. And then depending on your comfort levels, we've got floppy boards. I would usually, for example, put my board on top and then flip it, but because they're a little bit floppy, I just shimmied it onto my chopping board. It's not very good for your knives to chop straight onto the plate. So I'm going 9, what do we say? 12. I think that's a nice size piece of frittata. And that is got a nice crisp outer layer, but I can still see it's really nice and moist inside as well, which is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh,
A crispy side, the inside, the outside, whatever your preference is. It is a little bit like a brownie,
Gooey
isn't it?
middle or crunchy outside. And we're going to
Everyone has
add
a
a
different
little bit
preference.
of Greek yogurt to our delicious fruit salad. So you've got a full meal.
Mm-hmm.
I just made a massive mess.
That looks so good.
All right.
And as discussed, omelettes wait for nobody. I am going to eat the most beautiful dishes. Thank you. I'm eating your quick dish. So we have, what have we done? We started with the frittata in the oven. Let it chill out to cool a little bit before we sliced it. And again, that could be anything. We did potato and onions with some parsley. Could be anything.
Steamed broccoli,
So
whatever
long as
you
it's
like.
not too wet. And then we did a lovely fresh fruit salad. And of course, we finished with omelettes 3 ways. We've got the soft French
Classic
style.
French, got a
with the
sort of
chives.
slightly crispier dinosaur American, I was about to say American pancake, American omelette with cheddar. And then we got our beautiful frittata that we made. And also an egg white omelette.
Our egg white omelette. So if you haven't done egg omelettes before, hopefully you've got a little key into what you can do.
And with everything in life, practice makes perfect. As you can see, this one I need to practice a little bit more.
Yeah, you just need a bit more butter, believe it or not.
But the texture is really good
Yes.
and the seasoning was good. So
if you're cooking with us tonight, send us a photo, tag us at Cookery School London, #Cook for Victory. If you've got a beautiful omelette, we would absolutely love to see that. And same with the frittata, fruit salad, whatever you've got.
and if you've not tried it before, please try it. 2 chicks for their lovely organic and free
You can
range
get-
egg whites. You can see them at all the major supermarkets in the UK.
And they are safe to eat, so you could eat that as soft as you like.
Or if you're pregnant, even better. So.
Yeah, easy ways.
Anyway,
Delicious.
thank you so much for joining us for another night at Cookery School. We've loved doing this. I love eggs, so this is my perfect dinner.
Yes, Millie is very particular about her eggs, if you missed that.
But when they're good, I love them.
And we will see you tomorrow night for a Friday night special. We got bean burgers, which are my favourite
They're one of
thing.
my favourites as well.
And we're doing bread again. If you've lost it, we're doing bread. We're going to be perfect by tomorrow night making bread. I'm certain of it.
So yeah, thank you so much for joining us for one more evening, and we will see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.